number, so let me go into the next one. It was not long after that I paid him that my dad needed to use the restroom.
Looks like Stacy Potter signed it.
Mm-hmm.
She's the defendant. It's 39432.
It was stricken.
Yeah, that case was stricken. It was plaintiff had reached out to us yesterday, asking a new hearing date because they hadn't completed service was reset to September 11th.
Okay. Miss Potter.
Yes, hello, Your Honor.
Okay, the plaintiff in your case, the plaintiffs informed the court that they had not served the notice of the claim on you, so they rescheduled the trial in your case. That trial is rescheduled to September 11th.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
I did actually receive the paperwork, but thank you. No, that helps me. Thank you.
Okay, good luck.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, and the rest of these are no-shows entirely, so we can do those at the end.
Okay.
All right, then let's see. The first case that I believe is ready is Giles versus All American Services. Okay, yeah, would you mind having a seat there at the table? All right, and you're Rebecca Giles? Yeah. Okay, and then All American Services, can I have you turn on your camera and microphone, please?
Mike.
All right, and are you Denise Wise?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, and this is 39477. Court file here. Here we go. All right, so Ms. Giles's claim for it's like principal amount of $6,000 based on a plumbing job. All right. All right, is everybody ready?
Yes.
Your Honor, when we went to mediation, I changed that to $3,000, dropped it down.
I may be looking.
We had Rodney, deputy prosecutor. Isn't that correct?
If that's all you want to claim, this $3,000 is fine.
You know, plus all the service and all of that.
Yeah, other costs, allowable costs.
And it did make it to $3,000. You know, being lenient. And yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna get into this. So I'll give you a little orientation as to how this will go. So let me double check here. Yeah, double checking for a counterclaim. Okay. So what will happen is I'll swear the parties in. Plaintiff will go first. Ms. Giles, you're the plaintiff, and you can explain your claim. That means your testimony. You can refer to any exhibits that were properly filed in the court file. And if you have any witnesses that you want me to hear from, I can swear them in and hear from them. After the plaintiff has had an opportunity to present her case, it'll be the defense turn. And same process, you'll testify about your case, refer me to any exhibits that have been properly filed in the court file. And if you have any witnesses who you would like the court to hear from, I'll swear them in and hear any testimony that they have. After I've heard from each side, I will hear from each side once. We won't go back and forth. Then I'll make a decision. I'll explain to you why I made the decision that I made. I'm going to ask you to follow a couple of procedural rules here, even though these are informal proceedings. While the other party is telling me their side of the case, please don't interrupt them. Even if you believe that they're telling me information that's inaccurate, not true, whatever, just let them tell me their side of the case. Keep in mind that you will get your chance to tell me your side of it in a few minutes, or you've already told me your side of it, and I know. I may need to ask questions from time to time, so I may interrupt you to ask questions. And the reason I would do that is because I want to make sure that I understand the nature of your claim or the nature of your defense. I'll also do that to keep matters focused on the facts and issues that are going to actually help me to decide this case, rather than maybe some issues that are tangential and don't really get us any closer to where I can resolve the case for you. All right, with that in mind, I'm going to have all of you raise your right hands, please. And do each of you swear that the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. And Ms. Giles, you are the plaintiff, so go right ahead.
Okay. Your Honor, I hired, I'm here on behalf of my father. I'm sure you've probably read through this already, who has very advanced dementia. And I was getting this property ready for resale because soon my dad would have to be in a home. And I didn't, my original plumbers were unavailable and couldn't come at the time frame that I needed. So I walked down the aisle in the trailer park where my dad lived, Tumwater Estates, and I ran into a gal by the name of Barbara Stahl, and she had hired them to do some work. And I said, well, did they do, how did they do? How was the price and so on and so forth? And she just said, well, Paul was gruff and he did a reasonable job, but his price was high. So I figured, he did a reasonable job. It's just a PEX repipe, water in, and we would do that. So I gave him a call to discuss replacing the plumbing in the 2 bathrooms and to remove the garbage disposal in the kitchen, replumb the washer, and replace the hose bib outside. The hose bib will be the important part of this particular case. So please remember that. Paul wanted to charge $10,000 for a PEX repipe, and I told him no, and he came down to $6,000. I figured, well, I need it done, so I'm just going to go with that. And then when he came, he said, why just do these? Why not take, all of the old plumbing out and repex the whole thing? And I said, for the same price? And he said, yes. So I said, go for it. Mr. Wise, the plumber, is like 6'4", 280, and he could not get under the trailer. So he brought in some other people. I think they were related to each of them. So when he came, we talked, and then so he came back and he told me that he forgot his wallet, so he couldn't start, and that could I give him any money up front? And I said, no, I was taught to, not do that, just to pay when the job was done. So, sorry, I have a dry mouth here. And so he just, kept, bothering me. Well, and I'm just like, okay, it's, I'm going to have to find another plumber then. And so he said, well, maybe I have a credit or something at this plumbing store. And so he agreed to do it. And the next day he came back and he told me that he was going to put the PEX through PVC piping and put it on the outside of, excuse me, the outside of the house. And I'm thinking to myself, that is incorrect. You can't, I mean, it swells, it's eventually going to crack, and it needs to be under the house and wrapped, hung and wrapped. And so I called my brother, who also does plumbing in Alaska, for some guys, and he said that's completely out of the question. No PVC on the outside of the house. So that. So I went to the store and bought some groceries, and when I returned, Paul and his nephew, or Denise's son, I think, was there working under the house. Not Paul. Paul couldn't get under the house at that time. I decided to look him up under the BBB, the Better Business Bureau, and there's an exhibit here that shows that his company was an F with the BBC, and there were other. I read some reviews, and there was one review that was similar to almost verbatim to what I am going through now. So he goes, "Oh, you've been reading, reading." And I said, "Well, no, at that time I hadn't. I just looked him up, and, and he in the business had an F. So I'm like, oh boy, here we go." So it was not longer after that, after he started yelling at me. He yelled at me early, and it frightened me outside, because I'm going to go back. He had put a hole underneath the sink where I had just laid a new bottom to the sink. And he had put a hole in a place that didn't need to be. So I asked him about that. We were outside, and his voice escalated. And I said, I'm just, I said, calm down, just, I need to understand you. You need to understand me. And I don't appreciate being yelled at. So, let's see. So I asked him if he had a permit for this job. And that's just my, I'm not a professional at, hiring people. So I asked him that, and he said, "Oh, you're going to make me pull a permit, huh?" So we went to City Hall and pulled, got a permit. And he also had to get a license to work in Thurston County. He didn't have a license either. So he got that. And let's see. On January 22nd, so after he did the plumbing and all these, I'm sure you've seen these, or do you need me to hold them up, the pictures?
You can just refer to them by exhibit number. You should have had numbered
I do.
before you submitted them.
Yeah, they're all listed. So exhibit 1 was the F. Exhibit 2 was where I paid him the check on January 22nd to be done. So let me go into the next one. It was not long after that I paid him that my dad needed to use the restroom. So it immediately overflowed, where before the plumbing job, it hadn't overflowed. It, you know, and so I tried to clear it, wouldn't clear. I called Paul and Denise to try to, and they told me how stupid I was for not knowing that the water intake and the water out were two different things. I know that, of course. That's where the bib comes in. So I didn't know what to do. The next day, I contacted City Hall, and they sent me to a gal named Kelly Wallace in the Community Development Department for the City of Tumwater, and asked what I needed to do. She said she would send somebody over right away, and it happened to be within 10 minutes, Mr. Eric Hyde, a building and fire safety official, and Al Christensen, the head of the department, showed up. Mr. Hyde and I went under the trailer and found the PEX was laying mostly on the ground. It was not hung properly. It wasn't hung at all. Some were hung on beams or just, laid on beams. And where he turned or where he put in a on and off, turn off and on, so that you could do it underneath the house. It was just laying there. And originally, I thought that it had come from the water was leaking from that, but it was actually leaking from the toilet that overflowed. That is Exhibit 3. So the inspection report was Exhibit 3. So Mr. Christensen, while he was there, asked if I had another plumber. I said, I do, but he would have to, he, as in Mr. Christensen, would have to coax him to come over because he told me that he was on another job and couldn't be there until the following Thursday. So I called Mr. Davidson at Kairos Plumbing, and Mr. Christensen took it from there. He just said, hand me the phone. So I handed him my phone, and he spoke with Mr. Thomas and told me that I needed to order a honey bucket for the trailer, get him a portable potty for his bedroom, buy hand cleaner for every room in the trailer, and do it now. I did. They did not red tag the trailer. When it's pertinent to note that when Mr. Wise, the plumber, finished, it was dark, and I wasn't going to go underneath the trailer to inspect it myself. My dad didn't have a flashlight that worked, so I, my phone had been acting up, and so my flashlight wasn't working because my dad doesn't have service in his, Wi-Fi service in his house. So the next day, the outfit that was caring for my dad 5 hours a day, 7 days a week, turned me into APS because the toilet, my dad doesn't know the difference because he's got, to use the honey bucket, he just, it was beyond him. He didn't know how to use it, even if you took him there to I took him there personally to show him how to use it, and he couldn't get the concept, and he also couldn't get the concept. This is the first time that I had to put a porta potty, indoor porta potty, a sit down in his bedroom that he wouldn't use either. So he kept using the toilet, kept flushing it, and the water just kept coming down outside. So they turned me into UPS and had a staff member then came to interview me. And it turns out that
All right, guys, this case wastes no time dropping us into the middle of the drama. Imagine paying thousands of dollars for a plumbing job, only to have your toilet overflow almost immediately after the work is finished. That's exactly the shocking moment that sets the tone for everything that follows. The homeowner insists everything was working before the contractor arrived, making this sudden failure impossible to ignore. Was it just terrible timing, or did something go seriously wrong during the repair? As the courtroom begins to unravel the facts, this single moment becomes the spark that ignites an intense legal battle over responsibility, workmanship, and trust.
they cleared me of, when the guy came, he tried to interview my dad. And of course, my dad doesn't know what he's talking about or saying. He does know how still to get up, and if he was to walk up to you and shake his hand, he would say, "Hello, sir," and that's pretty much what he can do at this point. All he can do. He's moved to a home now. So the next, yeah. So then on top of all of this, the advanced care health place quit. So I asked when the APS fellow came in, I said, "Do you smell any defecation? Do you smell any urine?" And he said no. So it was another, I don't know, month before I got it back. And so my dad, it turns out that it wasn't a coincidence, but my dad had to go to St. Peter's, and because his kidneys were not functioning, they were not clearing out. So Kairos Plumbing, Mr. Davidson, yeah, the damage to my reputation was worth more than anything. Kairos Plumbing, Mr. Davidson, and staff came with permit and license in hand, pulled the toilets, and put a snake through. What I didn't write in here, because this was my first rodeo, is that I called them several times. I even went and got my phone records from January 8th. I just went forward to February like 10th or something, so that I could, show myself that I did call them several times. I think it was like 6 or 7 times going out, call them. So to come back, and I said, maybe go up on the roof and go through the vent and put the snake through the vent. And I didn't get a phone call. Then they called back and said, this is not an issue of the sewer line. And I said, it is an issue of the sewer line, because when he dug down in the evening when it was dark, he exhibit number.
Buckle up, guys, because before we get to the courtroom showdown, we need to understand how this entire dispute started. The judge begins by explaining the court process before handing the floor to the homeowner, who shares a detailed story about hiring a plumbing company to help prepare her elderly father's home for sale. What seemed like a straightforward plumbing project quickly became filled with disagreements over pricing, permits, installation methods, and professional conduct. As more details emerge, concerns about licensing, an alarming business reputation, and heated confrontations begin painting a picture of a project that was falling apart long before the final payment was even made.
Exhibit number 4 and 5. You can see the snake coming through. Whoever put the sewer line in, and the hose bib is right next to it. So, well, actually, you can see the blue right here, Your Honor.
Mhm.
that
I've
goes
got
up to the hose
exhibit right
bib.
here.
And so Mr. Davidson went to the farthest toilet and pulled it and put the snake through, and you can see that that it had been severed already. And that is the coincidence that is not a coincidence, although I've been told in mediation that was that Mr. Davidson is the one that ruined that, and that is not the truth. So Mr. Davidson put in exchanged that with an RBS or RSB, I think it is, piping to connect to the sewer that was right next to the hose bib. And so instead of fixing what he had broken, Paul just took this $6,000 and left. Denise said, well, yeah, Paul had to dig down 4 feet. And the only place he had to dig down was here. There's no other place that he would have to dig down because all the piping was underneath the trailer and cut out. So that's the place that he would have, only place he would have to dig, Your Honor. So Denise continued to call back. Denise kept calling me saying, that they need to be able to come and fix it, blah, blah, blah. And I called the city and told them that, the job was done, or I didn't call the city. Kairos took the information over to the city hall and said it was complete. So Mr. Hyde came back. I went underneath the house again, the trailer again with him, and it was completely hung correctly, and it was all insulated, and the ABS pipe that was connected to the sewer, which this wasn't a sewer job, but it ended up being a sewer job. And I had to pay another $4,845 to Kairos to take care of all of that. And that is Exhibit 7. $4,845.59 to take care of that. So on July 3rd, I received a text, Exhibit 6, from Paul Wise that I interpreted as it was an apology. He apologized. That's here, and you have it as well. I interpreted that as, I did you wrong, and so that is basically what it is. It wasn't originally, it was just an inside, he forgot to plumb the washer as well. We had an add-on, and he said he didn't know anything about it, but yet when I was there the next day, because remember that outfit that was caring for my dad quit. So now I was down there, 8 hours a day, and there were red PEX pipe hanging over a line in there. So he had been in there. That's where the washer and dryer was, so he didn't do that. My bad. It was late. I was tired and I didn't check the work. So that's my fault. And that's one of the reasons why I dropped it down to $3,000. in mediation, he told me I wasn't gonna get a dime. So that's all I have. If you have questions, please ask.
So I noticed that you did not submit a contract with your exhibits.
Contract. No, there wasn't
Was
a
there
contract.
a written contract?
No,
Okay.
I didn't receive one.
So
It was a handshake.
your testimony is just your understanding of what your agreement was with the defendants.
Yes. I mean, Paul and I shook hands and said go.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's really for a plumber, you know, cutting out, you know, the old galvanized and putting in new packs is really not that huge of a job. He was just too big. He was just too big to get under there. And maybe the young kids, I don't know if they had license or if they were, I don't know. I don't know any of that.
Okay, let's hear what All American has to say about the situation. All right, so All American, I guess you two can decide between yourselves who wants to go first.
Your Honor, thank you. I'm going to just read to keep my thoughts organized. And we submitted this as a submittal packet to you, so you have all the information.
Video cut out there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, your video just cut out. So
Yeah.
go ahead and start again.
Okay. I'm going to be reading off our submittal packet that we submitted, and it should be in front of you. Just to keep
you don't have to read what you've already submitted. If you've submitted this in writing, which I see you have, it's not necessary for you to read it. It's already part of the record.
I guess then what we want to clarify is we are fully licensed, bonded, insured, have always been from, and we did have a contract with her. So.
In this matter, sir?
Okay. So I've,
Marta's not going to talk.
yes, what I need to know from you, you heard, the testimony regarding what the agreement was and the work that was performed, and you heard Ms. Giles's testimony as to why she believed that she didn't get what she contracted for. So I'd like to hear your response to that.
Your Honor, she did get everything that we had on our contract, our estimate for the job. We did a full repipe on the water lines. Anytime you run into galvanized, it's best to just get rid of them. It's an old pipe. We did a full repipe on the job. We pulled a permit. We started running into trouble with her, and we finished the job, and she was just going over everything. And it was frustrating because from the beginning, all I kept hearing is, my plumber does this, my plumber does that. Well, your plumber can't be here for a while. So you hired me. Let me do my job. Let me do it and you'll get a good job. We butted heads a bit, but at the end, when I finished the job, we were okay. And 3 days after, a week later, we get a call that the toilet is backing up. So I do go out there to check it out, but it's another part of the job. It's not part of the repipe at all. This is a sewer pipe. And Denise explained that in our submittal packet. We have the emails where we explained it.
Now the case reaches its most emotional stage as the homeowner lays out everything that happened after the work was completed. She describes overflowing plumbing, emergency inspections, alleged installation defects, and the devastating impact these problems had on caring for her father, who suffered from advanced dementia. City inspectors become involved, another licensed plumber is called in, and thousands of additional dollars are spent correcting what she believes were serious mistakes. From inspection reports to apology messages and repair invoices, she presents every piece of evidence she believes proves the original contractor failed to deliver the job she paid for, turning this into far more than just a simple plumbing disagreement.
And so this is another part of the job, and the invoice that she had submitted from Kairos Plumbing just solidifies that fact. It is a different part of the job. They charged another $4,000 to fix a pipe. Now, I didn't dig down 4 feet at all to do any water piping. I got the water line and changed it over to PEX. There's no sewer line that is corrugated pipe. I've never seen that in my life. That's what you see in her picture. And he's got a 3/8 cable running through a 4-inch pipe. It makes no sense to me that that's what's going on there. And I don't know what's going on there because I didn't see any sewer pipes underground when I was working. I was focused on the water lines, and that's what we ended up doing. And going into this, and when we went into our mediation, there's zero proof of anything on this sewer pipe. I never saw one. I never heard anything about it. The hose bib, I never did anything with this. So in this matter, we held our end of the bargain. We did a job. We asked to come back and finish the insulation on the pipe, which wasn't in our original agreement.
And finish our inspection.
And finish our inspection, but she ended up canceling our permit, not allowing us back at the property, and not answering our calls, telling us to stop calling. And that's in our submittal packet as well. So we were up against a brick wall here. We wanted to do right by her, and we wanted to get this done the right way like we always do. We butted heads, but it was just difference of personality, I must say. But we did try every length to do right by her. We already gave a job at 50% discount. A 2-bathroom repipe in this market is $12,000. That's what it is. Every company across the board. We gave a discount for her. She said that she needed, her father didn't have much money. We were slow at the time, so I gave her the deal. And it was fine. We went in there and replaced everything. But this wasn't a matter of the repipe. This is the sewer. And everything coming about is trying to find wrong. She was threatening to sue us before we even started.
Right.
You know, and so it's just been a butting heads across the board. So I sent her a text after the fact. And I just want to add this. I sent that text because as a person, I don't like the energy of being angry and so forth. We lost a $130,000 contract in that subdivision because of this job, because of what you talked. The lady, Barbara Stahl, who I didn't do a job for, we didn't work for her at all. We just gave her an estimate. And we had a contract to replace all the water lines in all the park, signed and delivered.
By Tumwater Estates.
By Tumwater Estates. And then we're getting ready to start the very next day, and they said, bring the print back. We're not doing it now. Come to find out it's because of this. And it hurt our business. We had 2 months of work scheduled. Done. Okay. We lost all that revenue.
Well, let me kind of stop you there. That we're kind of veering off into other areas here. I want to go back to this, the scope of the work, because what I'm looking at here that you submitted, it looks like it's entitled A1, and that exhibit says the service date was January 22nd of 2025, and then the services that are described here are a water supply repipe, remove existing water supply system and install PEX, water supply to each fixture, hot and cold. That includes 2 bathrooms, 1 kitchen, and 1 hose bib. Is that what you're telling me is the agreed scope of the work?
Yes, absolutely.
And she paid for that.
Yes.
That was what the $6,000 showing over on the other column represents.
Right. Which what we did is, you said that laundry room we didn't know existed until after. We did come back and pipe that for free. That wasn't on our contract either.
And that's on the exhibit I gave too, with the washing machine.
With the washing machine pipe running water through it.
Okay, I need to look at that again. Just bear with me here a second.
It is exhibit.
No, it's right there. Got to be in there.
Yeah, I know it's in your packet. I saw it before, and some of these exhibits just take a second to load. That's why oh, here we go. I see it now. Yep, I've got it.
Which page?
So it looks like it's called E3, and it is on page 23 of the defendant's packet. And it looks like a picture of water flowing into the tub of a washing machine. Okay.
Yeah, that quit.
All right. Gotcha.
I actually took a video of it, but I didn't know how to upload that.
Okay.
At the
All
time,
right.
I took a video.
No, I kind of stepped in there with the question and interrupted your flow a little bit. Is there anything else you want to continue with there?
No, sorry for getting off topic a bit there at the end, but bottom line is we gave a contract, we upheld that contract, and when there was problems, we immediately contacted her to resolve all issues and to do a right job by her father. And we were told that we cannot come back to the job. Our permit was canceled and another plumber was hired, and then this came about. It was.
Wait, what I do want to say is that her original pipes were not insulated.
Oh, I had a video hang up again here. I just want to bring them back to where the
Sorry, it cut out.
Oh, there we go.
But when
What I heard was you said her original pipes were not insulated and then nothing after that.
the original pipes weren't insulated, but when we pulled the permit, and then if you want to look on there, the inspector required us to go back and insulate the pipes. We were just coming back to insulate the pipes without charge to her, considering it wasn't on her original, and we were just going to come back. She wouldn't allow us back on the property. So that's exhibit B2 and B3
Yes.
from the inspection report.
Okay. B2, B3, I just passed it. Okay. Yeah, I see it. I see it. Yeah, that was submitted by the plaintiff as well. Okay. All right. Was there anything else that you needed to tell me?
No, Your Honor.
I don't think so.
All right. Thank you. All right. Well, I think I told everybody in the beginning that, if you're going to claim that your claim is based on a contract, one of the very first things that needs to be proved is what are the terms of the contract? What is the agreement between the parties? And differences in opinions, recollections, and so forth. If they're not memorialized in writing and in advance, then it's difficult to reconstruct that afterwards. And even the terms of an oral contract need to be specific and specified. And, you two right off the bat clearly don't agree on what the contract was for, what the terms of the contract were. So it makes it tough to know exactly what the bargain entailed for each party. And it's also less than clear as to what the standard of performance is. In other words, how do we know if the agreement's been complied with or not complied with? There's a standard there. And someone has to bring forward evidence regarding the standard of work that has to be met in order for the term of the contract to be considered fulfilled properly, or in the alternative, whether that term was breached. So, it's a challenge to say the least when there's no written contract between the parties. So I have to fall back on the basic standards of the law, which is that the burden of proof is on the plaintiff to prove their claim by preponderance of the evidence, which means the greater weight of the evidence. In this case, Ms. Giles, you're the plaintiff. You've got the burden of proving that claim by preponderance of the evidence or the greater weight of the evidence. And based on the testimony that's been provided here and the exhibits that have been submitted regarding what the agreement was, the scope of the work.
All right, guys, every courtroom story has two sides, and now it's the contractor's turn to fight back. Instead of admitting fault, the plumbing company firmly rejects nearly every accusation made against them. They argue that the work matched the agreed contract, insist the sewer problem was completely unrelated to the plumbing project, and claim they repeatedly tried to return and resolve outstanding issues before being denied access to the property.
Any level of performance or standard of performance that needed to be met, and whether it was or whether it was not, I cannot find by preponderance of the evidence that that burden has been met. Therefore, I'm entering judgment. It's going to be in favor of defense, All American Services.
Here comes the moment everyone has been waiting for. The judge carefully explains how courtroom decisions depend on evidence rather than emotion. Despite the homeowner presenting a lengthy and passionate account, the court focuses on one critical problem. There was no written contract clearly defining the scope of the work or the expected standards.
All right, and I'm writing out a judgment to that effect, filing it with the clerk.
Your Honor, did I hear you say that it was going to All American Services?
Entering judgment in favor of defense. In other words, the claim's not proved. So the clerk will give you a copy of the judgment since you're here, and for All American Services, you can obtain a copy of the judgment anytime from the court clerk's office.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And ma'am, the clerk will have your copy of the judgment right here.
That's,
Our next case with
Are we finished, Your Honor?
Yes.
That's yes, that's the end of the case.
Okay, thank you.
yeah,
case with you and collision and someone towing. It sounds like they did not reach a DRC agreement, so
Okay.
it sounds like they're going to proceed to trial.
Okay, we don't have the other party back yet.
I'm going to move them out of the breakout room.
Okay. All right, we'll wait for him. I know we have Summit Towing here, and you're Thurston County Collision.
No, we're both Summit Towing.
Both Summit
Yeah,
Towing. Where's Thurston County?
East
Oh,
Thurston
online.
County.
Online.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Your Honor,
I recognize Brooklyn because she's here for the other types of hearings. Yes, ma'am.
after, I don't know how long this is gonna last, I need to get home, but, I would really, I didn't have a nice and neat, thing, because when they first came, they didn't even have any paperwork. So we came back, and, when this guy is digging down and puts the pipe, the flex pipe that, whoever
Ma'am,
put in there.
So this is not proper. Okay, I've heard your case, rendered a decision. That's final
I don't
judgment of the
understand
court.
decision.
And I can't have separate contact with you about your case apart from the defendant's present. That's not allowed. So I can't engage with you about your case right now. But there is no more. If you don't believe the judgment of the court was proper, you may have the right to appeal the judgment to a higher court. But that's all I can tell.
Thank you for your time. Thanks for all the calls, Chase.